What's up, Brianna? Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. We also have Maddy Cusimano, your coach in this journey. What's up, Maddy?
Hello. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Yeah, we're doing really well. I am just so pleased and grateful that you both were available. This is my opportunity, Brianna, to shout you out because as we were joking before hitting record, this is a great opportunity to get out of one's comfort zone and hopefully impact a lot of people. This is helpful for us in DLDNation is that we get more of our clients who have the best stories of this whole thing out in front and sharing it. And then Maddy, I appreciate you being available because I know what it was like when I was on my first podcast, and it would be really nice if I had somebody next to me being like, help me out. So I appreciate you both a ton.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here to support.
Awesome. So I want to start with really high level, Brianna. What were sort of your stats and where you were in your fitness journey before coming to DLDNation and where you are now? And I'm kind of using that question to set the stage and then we'll dive deeper.
Okay. So stats, like as in like my weight and whatnot and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Not only, if you wanted to give a quick hits of like, hey, this is where I was, this is where I am. This is how maybe my mindset changed, those like quick high level things.
Yeah, perfect. So like probably like the year before and like year and a half before I decided to, invest in myself and join DLD, I had kind of been doing like all of the yo-yo dieting and the fad diets. I tried, the keto, and I did this program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called Arbonne. So it's very like, they're very strict on what you can and can't eat. And it worked for a little bit, but the second I stopped, it was like a 30-day program. The second I stopped, my weight went back up. So it wasn't anything sustainable. So I was thinking it was me. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not seeming to, keep this weight off. And it became like an obsession for me, which, it started to get unhealthy. Like my relationship with food was really unhealthy. And so when I think it was 2020 when I started, when you guys had the Black Friday deal, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going balls to the walls. Like I'm ready for this. And I had even like set my application before like 2 weeks prior. And then I like canceled the call last minute. So I'm like, no, I'm not ready. And then you guys brought that deal out and I was like, okay, like this is a sign, like I can totally do this. So I just, pulled the trigger and, I was like 220 and right now I'm like 167, but it's not even like the weight's not even like a number. That's not even like a factor for me anymore. It's like the inner workings that I've like the inner growth that I've done. It's like absolutely incredible. But yeah, I had like, the basics, as far as like, I knew how to work out and stuff like that. I would like do my little research and stuff. So that wasn't the hard part, but it was like the inner stuff. And then like my relationship with food that like was the missing piece that, made my journey so much easier and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you lost at the moment, like 60 pounds. Roughly?
Yeah.
Have you ever picked that up at the gym and like picked up a 60-pound dumbbell? Yeah. That would be a powerful moment and be like, damn, yeah, I don't carry this with me anymore.
I know. And even when I look at like my progress pictures and stuff like that, like I don't even recognize that person. Like, it's just obviously like the hair is obviously gone too, but it's like, aside from that, it's just like there's like a glow about me that even if I don't see it, people tell me all the time, like, Brianna, like you're glowing, like you're radiating and stuff. And it's just because it's that self-love that I've learned to have, and it's nothing I had before, nothing I ever imagined to be able to have. So the working out part was always easy for me, but it's, the community and, and having that discipline and stuff like that, it's was a game changer for sure. And the support obviously is the biggest thing for me.
That glow that Brianna just mentioned, when I tell you anytime I post her progress photos on my story or even just reshare something that Bri has tagged me in, like a selfie at the gym or flexing at the gym, at least a handful of messages always come into my DMs saying, I love watching her journey. Her smile makes my day. I absolutely love her confidence. And that word radiate, like she radiates, she glows. And I'm like, yes, like that's my girl. She does glow. She does radiate. Cause you truly do. You can see that like all coming through in your face, in just the way you carry yourself too, in those flex videos and everything like that.
Yeah.
I can co-sign on that. Like I say this with love, Brianna, you are a bad bitch. Like your transformation photos.
I have some of the baddest to look up to. So yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like night and day, but it's the, like, I can't stress that enough that yes, the physical changes have been amazing. Like I'm not gonna say I don't like think like, damn, you look good, because obviously, I do, and I feel good, but it's just that's so secondary to me. And when I first started, like I was like, Maddy, like I want to be this big, I want to have a big butt, and I want to be super thin. Like I don't care, like if I only have to eat 1,000 calories. And that's another thing too. Like I'm sitting here, like when Maddy was like, okay, Brianna, you're gonna eat like 2,100 calories. I'm like, excuse me. Like, I don't even think I can I don't even think I can eat all that. Like, what do you mean? And now it's like, I'm like, give me more carbs, like, give me more food, like food is my friend, like food is my best friend. And that's just like so incredible for me to be able to say that now, as someone who came from, struggling with, different, eating disorders and all kinds of things in the past. So it's an immense growth, I've done in the last, I think 19 months, Maddy. I'm not sure how long it's actually been, but it's been incredible.
And that encourages you to continue to get out of your comfort zone, like with stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Diving in, seeing a lot of the results that you have. I appreciate you mentioning it was 19 months. When you went into this, when you first joined DLDNation, did you have an idea in your head of like, oh, I want to do this for X amount of months? Was it more so you wanted to get to certain goals? Like, I guess the question would be, what did you sort of expect when you started this journey with us? And then where are you now as far as like, okay, I want to continue this journey, I want to bulk, or are you good where you are now?
I've been like, I think we started like right off rip with like a cut, because I was, like I said, I just wanted to, drop weight or whatever. So, where was it going with that? Where was I going with that?
Yeah, no, it's all good. We were talking about, the question was, like, what was sort of your expectations in the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Like how long this would take. And basically what I'm kind of getting at is, I'm sure, people are like, hey, I want to, get fit and healthy in like a month. And
of course. I mean, I expected, I wanted that instant gratification, but it didn't obviously doesn't happen overnight. It took some time, but like I really, when I tell you I fully dove into it, like, I mean, I prepped all my meals, I tracked everything to the T. So it's like, that became like, it was fun for me, like it was super fun. So I didn't have like a time limit. Like, like I said, initially I wanted like instant gratification, but once I noticed that, like, oh, I'm feeling good and this is fun. Like I was enjoying learning how to make different things and prepping my meals and staying organized and all that stuff. So like the time limit it just went out the window. I was like, however long it has to take to get to where I want to be. And then like I surpassed that goal. Like I think my weight goal was like 185 pounds. I think, Maddy, I'm not even 100% sure, but that's like I said, that went out the window. Like it's like it's second nature to me now, and having the support and the accountability from everyone in DLD, and even all the other girls that Maddy coaches, and anyone that you guys coach, it's like they're friends that I've never met in my life, but they're there to support me. And even when like I'll be having a rough day and then I'll get like a random DM and stuff like that, and it's just like, hey girl, I've been watching you, and just know that you're pushing me. And that I never in a million years would have thought that like me posting a selfie or me posting like a flex video would inspire someone. And that's it's just amazing. So yeah.
Well, we appreciate you bringing some of that amazing to our team. Maddy, if you can remember the 19-20 months ago, what were a few things that Brianna was doing really, really well when she first started with us? And then what were some things that you were able to help her with in her journey?
Yeah. So I think that the biggest thing that was so impressive with Bri when she first started, just like she said, like she dove into it. She was meal prepping, she was tracking, and it became fun. And I think that because she found joy in the process, it made it that much easier to continue. And when there was downfalls, she didn't look at that and stomp her feet and throw a tantrum and give up. She was just like, okay, coach, what do we do to get past this? And she would do it. Like she was very open to, what, I've tried everything. So if this fails too, like I will keep on trying. And so I think that she just came in with such a great attitude about like, I will keep overcoming. Like if something knocks me down, that's not a failure. I will keep going and I will keep asking the questions. One thing that I think was really impressive too was one thing I think to answer like the second part is like the improvement, how much you dedicated, Bri, to improving your form and improving that intentionality that you brought with your lifts. So we definitely, you never had bad form in any movement, but one thing that we definitely improved was like slowing down our lifts, really making sure we had mind muscle connection, really making sure we weren't ego lifting, like all things that so many people commonly struggle with when you first get in the gym. You find out you can deadlift 225, you want want to double plate up every time you get up to do deadlifts, but does that mean we always should, right? Like it was little things like that that we definitely worked on and cleaned up little areas of form to the point where now you send form videos and I'm like, there is nothing I need to change. Like this is on point. So yeah, I would say those things for sure.
That's awesome. Brianna, in your journey when you first started, what were some things like, I'd love to know your background with lifting. Like Maddy said, you know, ego lifting, and speaking from a man, I know that we are very susceptible into doing that. I have an athletic background myself, and so I felt confident in the gym, but I was still able to learn a lot. So I'm curious, what was sort of your baseline? Like, what were you coming in with? Did you play sports growing up?
So actually, no, that's funny. I put that on my notes too. I was like going through it. I was like, I actually didn't do like hardly any sports. Like I played a little bit of soccer when I was a kid, but it was just because like my parents were like, you know, I did it, but I didn't want to say I was like a girly girl, but I like didn't want to sweat. I was like, I don't want to sweat. And I live in Florida, so it's always, you know, I'm always sweating. But I did, so I didn't really do like any like, you know, sports or anything like that. I did a little bit of volleyball in middle school, but again, it was more like a hobby. So I didn't have much of like a sports or athletic background going up. Like I would play outside with my friends, but like coming out of high school, I started to like, I follow Katrina. She's like the college clean eating, and her program is like, she has a really kind of like you guys have on your training stuff, like really detailed videos and stuff like that on how to do the exercises. So I kind of like, that's how I got like my foot in the door. But I like how Maddy said, like, that's another thing that I struggle with, is because like, I know I can lift heavy. So when I go in there and that, you know, 185 is feeling like, you know, 95 pounds, like I beat myself about it. I'm like, what the heck? Like you have this, you know, like I kind of did struggle with like that all or nothing mentality, whether it was, you know, with my, you know, my eating, or whether it was like with my working out. Like I would go in there and I would do like, you know, my first lift and I'd be like, damn, like this is heavy. It doesn't feel good. Like, I'm just not going to do it today. Like, I'm just going to, you know, I'll do some cardio or something like that. You know, and that's another thing like that I also like, my mindset shifted. Like I don't always have to be lifting heavy to, you know, see progress and stuff. And that's where, you know, the mind to muscle connection thing, like that's one thing that I love now, because I drop the weight and I focus on that mind and muscle connection. And like, I mean, it's a total game changer. So that's another thing that Maddy has really taught me too, is it's not all about just because you can lift, it doesn't mean you should, you know, obviously like we do want to work on progressive overload and humble yourself. And like I said, you know, that, you know, 95 pounds or 150 pounds, whatever, with a squat or whatever it is, like it'll feel really heavy if you're making, you know, if you're really making your movements count. So, but yeah, so I had my baseline was just kind of like a lot of, you know, just working on videos and stuff like that myself and just practicing. So I was, you know, I kind of, you know, really try to be really good at that. And that's why I think, you know, my lifts are pretty solid, but yeah, so.
That's something that Dayla had to do as well. I don't know if either of y'all know this, but when Dayla first started her fitness journey, she was watching a lot of people on Instagram, like our friend Katrina, shout out to College Clean Eating, and she was just grabbing like 20s and 30s and weights that these people were using in the videos. And then she said she could barely walk the next day. And so, so many of us start out there where it's like, I'm in the gym, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or I'm just watching videos and then perfecting form over time. I'm curious, Brianna, how did you get out of that mindset of all or nothing? Because if Maddy and I had $1 for how many times we've talked about that, we could probably retire at this point. And so I'm curious how you got out of that all or nothing mentality. And if you could sort of pinpoint, like, what were some things that helped you along the way?
So I think my biggest thing was like giving myself grace. That's another thing that Maddy and I talk about too, because like when I went on vacation, like I was really nervous because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to, you know, eat like my meals and stuff like that. And so I'm like, should I just like say screw it and just, you know, enjoy my time, which to a certain extent I did, but I let myself, you know, like you guys always say, progress doesn't happen overnight and it's not going to go away overnight, you know? So it's a big thing about having like that balance where I'm able to still enjoy myself and, you know, not feel guilty and stuff like that. So I was just, you know, like I said, my biggest thing was just giving myself grace and realize whether, like I said, whether it was with the food or with, you know, the working out. And then Maddy actually posted a reel today about the something is better than nothing. And I was like, I swear, every time I'm like going through something, like I'll check her feed or even your guys' stuff. And I'm like, wow, you guys are like speaking to my soul. This last week, I was kind of like sick and just kind of going through a little bit of stuff. I kind of touched with Maddy on my check-in this week. I wasn't in like the right headspace, you know, and you know, I worked out like Monday, Tuesday, and then I took like 3 or 4 days off. And like the first 2 days, I'm like, okay, I got to get to the gym. And then I'm like, you know what, Brianna, it's fine. Like your body's telling you like you need to rest, you need to take some time and, you know, focus on you and get your head back on straight and get in the right headspace. And then you know, because what's, you know, like it's never, you never go to the gym and regret a lift, not usually. I mean, so I mean, I could have gone and, you know, pushed through it, and, you know, who knows, I might have had a good lift, but I felt better, you know, taking those extra days to like sit with myself and, you know, go spend time with my family and, you know, and really kind of get myself grounded again. So it's like the biggest thing is giving yourself grace. You know, it's not going to disappear overnight. It didn't happen overnight. So
something else that I hear in your response, which I appreciate, Brianna, is similar to that reel that Dayla posted the other day with all those Oreos.
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
hey, you can take a couple of days off and you still look at the totality. And so like you said, you hit the gym 2 or 3 times and you're like, hey, I really need to listen to my body. I'm kind of run down, so I'm going to take a few days off. In the grand scheme of things, I'd much rather somebody do that and be able to bounce back and be 100% versus they're continuing to be at 60, 70%, and all of a sudden they get injured. And so I really appreciate that Maddy, myself, other people on the team have really reinforced everything that you've learned and are learning. Maddy, what were a couple things that made Brianna a ton of fun to coach?
Oh my gosh, just she's a ray of sunshine, truly. What's nice as a coach is, you know, there's definitely clients where, you know, when they're struggling with something, they will almost kind of project that tone is almost like, you know, I'm upset with you and your programming, and it's something that feels very personal. When the client's upset, it's all of a sudden now they're upset kind of with you as the coach. But something with Bri that she did really well is she always understood, like, hey, just because one little thing might be off doesn't mean that, you know, this program is bullshit or life is awful. It just means that, hey, this is, you know, this is something that's going wrong, but you know what? I know we can work on it. We can move past it. Life is still good, right? Like there was always just that, always like looking for that silver lining, never like choosing to live in that pity party or tantrum. You know, we're all entitled to throwing ourselves a pity party here and there, being upset about certain things. But she always knew when that time was spent, right? It's like, okay, I acknowledge the negative feelings or, you know, what I'm upset about, but now, okay, I was sad. I took my time. Now let's go. It's time to get back into things. So always having just that very like uplifting spirit and very much like, I'm not going to let this hold me down. And she brought that with every check-in. She was always very much like ready for the next challenge, trusting in the process too. And I think that what's good is like, for example, when we finished out that first cut, because Bri's made it through multiple different phases of nutrition now, and it was time to reverse. Everyone, when it's time for your first reverse after you've had successful weight loss, it's scary. Like it's a scary thing to accept of like, wait, we're introducing more food. Like, oh my gosh. It was always met with like, you know what, I'm willing to live and learn. Like if this, I'm going to trust this. But a lot of clients, like in order to, even with the vacation that you brought up, people are nervous. Okay, I'm going to go on this vacation. Is this going to ruin everything? You have your coach over here saying it won't, I promise it won't, but you have to go experience that for yourself. She was always willing to like go experience it and learn it and live it for herself, with little hesitation. Like she was always like, okay, coach, you said this was going to be the outcome. Let's see, like, let's just find out together. So just very much that willingness to be okay with, if this fails, okay, like, and we'll figure it out from there.
I love that. And that is such an amazing trait to have, Brianna. So I'm curious, where did you get that? Like, how did you cultivate that mentality, that mindset?
My dad, I think like he's a very, you know, positive, like we're very similar in a lot of aspects of our lives. And he's just very, very like optimistic and very, you know, like a positive person. And he, you know, I admire that about him. And I admire that like about a lot of people, but it's just, you know, if it's out of your control, you know, you shouldn't stress about it. And I put a lot of trust and faith in Maddy too. Like you know, when she touched about how, like when I first went into my reverse, I was like right before my brother's wedding. And I was like, hey, I have to, like, I already like got my dress and like fit it, like got it fitted. Like, I'm not going to gain a bunch of weight, like it was like 2 weeks too, Maddy. She was like, I was like, I'm not going to gain a bunch of weight and like not be able to fit my dress. And she's like, no, girl. She's like, if anything, like you're going to fill out, then it's going to be, you know, it would be fine, you know, but yeah, like that mentality comes from, you know, my dad. And, you know, I just try to always look at the positive and stuff. And I hear that from a lot of people. Like someone actually told me yesterday, like, how are you, like, why you're always so positive? And I'm like, well, because what's the point of being, you know, like a Debbie Downer or just thinking negative? Like, it's just, you're going to be like a black cloud and you're going to take that, you know, it's going to like, you know, flow onto people around you, and you don't want that, you know? So I always just try to like keep it positive. And I know that, you know, if my smile makes someone else smile, then I'm good for the day, you know? So.
Dude, can we just bottle your energy and figure out how to do that?
No, I have my bad days. And that's like, you know, how Maddy was saying, like, you know, it's okay to have yourself a pity party. And that's one thing that, like, with her, that I, like, when we check in, I would be like, Maddy, she's like, you know, I screwed up this week, and, I really messed up and blah, blah, blah. And I would like be really down on myself. And then like, that was like a couple check-ins. And then after the fact, it's like, okay, I assessed, I acknowledged that I messed up, and then it's like, okay, like now I have to just, tomorrow's a new day and I got to keep moving forward and get back to it, so that's the biggest thing is like, okay, you acknowledge, you might have messed up or screwed up and just, put it behind you, keep it moving, so that's the only thing you can do.
That mentality not only works really well in a fitness journey, but I have to imagine it works well in life as well. And so I'm curious, Brianna, over the last, let's call it 2 years that you've been on this journey, what have you noticed about the rest of your life outside of your fitness that's changed or improved?
Well, I still have like a little bit of a struggle between like, I'm a big people pleaser, so sometimes I find myself, like putting them too much in, putting like other people before I put myself first. So that's one thing that I still not struggle with, but I'm working on. And, I've been doing a lot of like reading, and I read you guys, one of your podcasts, I think it was with Caitlin, about Atomic Habits. You're like, we're already going to talk about Atomic Habits. Like, I already know you love that book. And I had just picked that book up. So I'm actually reading it now. And it's seriously like, I'm just like, I can't put it down. And I'm just like, wow, like this is so simple. So it's like doing little things like that. Like, I'm just learning to, like, that's where the mindsets came, like into like such, like they were so impactful for me, even though if I was like sitting on like silently on the sidelines, just listening to other stories, because it made me feel like I'm not alone. Like, I'm literally not alone. Like there's so many people out there that are going through the same exact thing, or even, something worse if, God forbid or whatever, but it's like, everyone's dealing with their own stuff, so it's like, you just have to, put your best foot forward and just try to get past that and figure out what you can do to get yourself out of a situation. And if you're not happy with something, all you can do is change it. And the only person that's going to change it is you. And that's another thing that, like I said, I would look for others to like, help me do this. Like, why do I feel like this? And it's like, no, Brianna, like you gotta work on you to, be able to give the best version of you to other people. And so that's, I struggle a little bit with like that inner self-talk, which again, Maddy knows all about that, but I'm working on it. And every day is a little bit better and every day is a little bit easier. And that's the best part. So
can I give you an analogy that may be helpful for looking
Absolutely.
at a way to take care of yourself? So we can all agree that the people you take care of that you're pleasing are spokes on a wheel, right? And it's just like there's a ton of them on this big spoke and this big wheel. We forget oftentimes that we are the hub. So like you're the hub of that wheel taking care of all the spokes. And if you can't be that hub, the whole wheel falls apart, right? It doesn't matter how strong the individual spoke is. So that's something that helps me out, because I think all of us, Maddy included, are trying to help other people out, but we need to stop and be like, okay, well, if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't be 100% for others. Maddy, I kind of want to give you a similar question as the one I gave Brianna, because it's like Dayla and I talk about this all the time. It's really challenging to see things when you're in it. And so Dayla and I, maybe like Maddy with you and Spencer, will be like, hey, what are you seeing? Because the person can see sort of the forest for the trees. And so kind of the same question to you, Maddy, with Brianna. How have you noticed like the rest of her life around fitness change over the last 2 years?
I think like the outside life part, it's kind of like as like the weight comes down on the scale, and as the form improves in the gym, and as her mindset around fitness is getting better, it's like you can't help but have all of that positivity like spill into like who you are as a person, and so like
absolutely,
whenever like what I was saying in other parts of this podcast, where she never like let a challenge keep her down. Like, sure, things are going to knock us down, but she truly never let things keep her down, including like life events, life situations. Like she'll express that in our check-in. There's a question that asks, how are you feeling physically and mentally? Like, rate your stress levels. And any weeks where it's like, all right, mentally we're a little bit down, or I can't really, I'm trying to work through this situation with like, who are the kind of people I want to surround myself with, or things like that. There was always like, as our time together went on and on, it was like, you can see that the wheels are turning more efficiently. Like it's less like dwelling on the problem and more of like actively working towards the solution, And so like, even with, and I know we're probably going to get to this, but you had major head surgery in December. And when we spoke about that together, we were both kind of like, I mean, it was probably one of the first times that Bree expressed to me that like, I'm scared. And I was like, wow, like those are emotions we haven't, like, we'd already been working together for a year at that point. And, in that time, it was like, okay, this is like one of those big challenges that maybe a year ago, if you were faced with it, maybe it would have knocked you down further than it did. Whereas because we had already been together for a year at that point, you had already built so much of that like mindset growth and like trust in you, your body, yourself to make it through any challenge, that like, even though you're expressing like, I'm scared, but I know that whatever the outcome is, like I will get past that. Like it was just cool to see how much quicker you were able to work through any hurdle or challenge.
So of course, the follow-up question to that is, you had head surgery, Brianna? I would love to know a little bit more about that.
I did. So forgive me if I get a little emotional, because it was a very, very not traumatic, but it was like, holy shit. So it happened so quickly. So I had gone this is like probably, I had my surgery in December of last year, 2021. And I think I had gone an MRI like a year prior, just because I had some like strange blood work. So they had found like a small tumor in my pituitary. So I had to get like routine MRIs, once a year, just to kind of keep an eye on it. So when I got an MRI, I think it was like in August of 2021, they were like, hey, your pituitary tumor is good, but we have another mass that, we kind of, need to keep an eye on. So I got like another routine MRI, and it was supposed to be very slow growing. And to their surprise, it wasn't. It like grew pretty rapidly. And thankfully it was benign. So it wasn't, cancerous or anything like that. But they were like, we need to get this out now. So it was like, they had to obviously shave my head. And I didn't tell anyone, like I didn't even tell Maddy up until like the week. I think I had like a check-in like a week prior to my surgery. And I was like, hey, by the way, like I'm about to go have like brain surgery. So like, and I even told her, I was like, do we just like stop and I'll hit you up in like 6 months when I'm good again or something? And she's like, no, she's like, first of all, like, what the hell, like take care of yourself. Like I'm praying for you, like first, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I didn't tell anyone about it because it made it real. And like, and obviously I'm thinking worst case scenario, like I'm gonna, look weird. I'm not gonna come out of this, anesthesia. And like, I'm thinking worst case scenario, but she was, her main focus was, making sure that I was okay. And obviously she tailored everything to, so that I could still, do what I could, when I was able to, and I took, I think it was like a month where I wasn't allowed to do anything, but I bounced back like that. And my doctors are like you have angels up there. It was a miracle. Like they didn't expect me to bounce back. Like I had the surgery on Wednesday and I was home by Friday. So they're like it was like 2 days in the hospital, and I did what they told me to do, and I rested a lot. And then when I was able to, when I got the okay, like I started to do, body weight exercises, but I was eager. Like that was I was like, I'm ready to go. But obviously I didn't want to push myself too hard. But that was, I almost thought about throwing in the towel at that point. Cause I'm like, there's no way I can come back from this. Like, this is going to put me on my ass. And I'm, it's like, why bother even trying to, keep any kind of regime up and stuff like that. And my biggest thing was I prioritized, protein when I could. That's something that Maddy, you guys always preach and stuff. But yeah, I just kind of like gave myself grace, and I took the time to rest. And then when I came back, like I found like a new fire under my ass, and it gave me like that drive to like, you just went through some major surgery and you're coming back and you're killing it. Like, that's why like this last like 6 months have just been like, I've been just like on go mode, because it's, life is short, and, anything. And I had zero symptoms. Like I had headaches that like, where everyone has headaches, so I didn't think anything of it. And in my vision, it's pretty normal for the most part. So I didn't think I had like pretty much essentially zero symptoms. So that's why it was really scary. And, but once I got past it, I'm like, holy shit, like you're freaking badass. Like you just went through brain surgery, and it's only been like, 6-7 months, and you're out here like doing the damn thing. So it's, it was a slow road, but that time, and it was also like good that my body took that time to just like take, like, it was like kind of like a reset, like I was able to rest really well, and, and let my body just kind of take time. And I didn't lose any gains. If anything, I lost a little bit of weight because, I wasn't, my muscle or whatever, but it was, I came back to it, and I hit the ground running, and I've been doing that since then. So it's crazy. It's just incredible what your body can do and how it can bounce back. And it's just, I love it. I love you guys so much.
We love you too. I really love that you shared that powerful story. Because I had no idea, like if you're listening at home, no idea that Brianna went through this. And so thank you for sharing it with us.
No problem.
Also, what you had said about bouncing back so quickly, and you didn't lose all your gains. And if anything, you really didn't add any weight. And that was going to be a follow-up question that I had, because like it still goes through my head. Like Dayla and I just got IVF related surgeries less than a week ago, and we both have to be out of the gym for at least 2 weeks. And those feels still pop in. Those thoughts are still like, oh man, like, am I going to lose all my gains? And I have to go back to all of the previous times where that happened, or I go on a vacation and I took some time off. It's like, no, like the body kind of holds on to it. And it's also become so one routine for me. And I know for you and Maddy as well, but then it also prepares our body for it. And so I have to imagine, like Maddy said, facing the surgery that you faced, did it occur to you like, oh, I've really put my body in a good position to attack this? Like with Dayla, when she relays some fears or trepidations with IVF surgery, I'm like, hey, like you're taking really good care of your body. You're putting yourself in a really great position to succeed. And that should ... determine the results. Was that going through your head as you were going through that process?
Yeah, absolutely too. Yeah, because I knew that I had been taking care of. That's why another reason why I was such a shock, because I'm like, I've been really taking care of my body. Like I'm exercising, I'm walking, I'm eating really well, and I'm doing everything like right. So that's why it was a little bit of a shock too. But that's also like that. I think that's why I was able to bounce back so quickly. Like my body had been being taken care of so well, like the year prior, if not longer, that when I had to take this time out, it was like I said, it was more of like a reset, and my body was like, okay, let's take a little break and then we'll get right back to it. So it's definitely like the eating well and the taking care of my body, the exercising and stuff like that definitely set me, I feel like, helped and set me up, to have such a smooth recovery too. So absolutely.
I love it. Also,
Yeah.
and this is a question for Maddy, because you had mentioned, Brianna, that you had surgery and then you had to come back slowly. Like that's how I would agree one should do it. However, we may hear sometimes in the online fitness community of coaches being like, hey, it's got to be like this. Like if you're not in the gym, you're not showing up for yourself, et cetera, et cetera. And so Maddy, I would love to hear from you, because I think it would be powerful to hear how not only yourself, but all of our coaches here at DLD manage something like that, because this is a very acute scenario that doesn't happen often. But you weren't, when Brianna came home on that Friday, you were like, all right, cool, girl, you got to be in the gym on Monday. So, what was your approach for her getting baking into it?
Yeah, week 1 after surgery, we were testing all 1 rep maxes, like for sure, like definitely maxing out, put her into a new deficit. Like we're not moving much, so we're slashing calories. No, we definitely approached this with as much of like a realistic mindset as possible. We knew that, workouts were kind of out of the question for a little while. Even when she was cleared, it was very much, we do not want to do too much too fast too soon, because we don't know, this is, like you said, a very acute situation. Like this is not something that either one of us has had experience with, but all we could do is abide by what her doctor's recommendations were. And obviously what we know about the body too. Like even when somebody comes off of being sick, you still give them that word of advice of like, hey, don't go in and try to put up your maxes the first session back. You're just going to be met with disappointment and frustration, because you're not going to be there yet. And that's okay. Your strength didn't disappear. It's just kind of sleeping. It's sleeping for now. And that phrase helps my clients a lot. Like a lot of clients who come back from COVID, that's always what I tell them. Like, I promise your strength isn't gone from 2 weeks out of the gym. It's just sleeping a little bit and it needs to be coaxed back out. But we definitely had the mindset of control the controllables. So right now we can't control the fact that your body just underwent a traumatic experience. You went under anesthesia, you were undergoing surgery, a very big deal. So we need to give your body time to just heal from that. But that doesn't mean that we can't control our nutrition, our water, our sleep, steps, body weight workouts when we're cleared, adding in like machines, dumbbells, and then eventually like getting back into the big girl stuff, like getting the deadlifts going, getting the squats going, benching again, like all of those things. So we just like put on I always say this too, we put on our patient pants and we're like, you know what, we're going to be grateful for what we can do and be excited for the fact that with every week that goes by, while we're controlling the controllables for now, you're getting like 1 week closer to being able to deadlift again, to squat again. And now she's throwing on double plates for squatting, for deadlifting and some, and she's, you know, like back at it. We're 6-7 months later. And another thing, when clients are overcoming an illness, an injury, a surgery, I always like to put it in the perspective of a couple months from now, we're going to be looking back on this and saying, remember when? Like, how many times you say that in life? Remember when we couldn't even do body weight stuff yet? Remember when we thought you were never going to recover? And now you're here, you're putting up the best numbers we've ever seen, and it's all in the past. And so just like always that forward thinking, controlling what we can right now, and just trying not to dwell on the what we can't do.
I'm gonna have to borrow some of those sayings, like the patient pants. Oh, that one's definitely gonna get used.
Maddie's got really good cues. Ask her about what was the one. There was like when I think it was like trying to fix my butt wing, and she's like, you know, when a dog's trying to scoop their butt down to take a shit, and I'm like, yep, can't forget that cue. Won't forget that cue.
We're gonna have to have an episode where it's just those, Maddy.
Yes. Yeah. All the analogies, they're so helpful.
They really, really are.
Brianna, I'm curious, what do you do for a living? And I'm kind of getting at like, how did you manage your fitness journey and see so much success?
So I was, when I first started with Maddy, I was actually bartending. So I worked like 5 to 11, 5 to 12. It was at a restaurant. So it wasn't like over, like super, not like a club hours or anything. So I was, I was working out during the day, and it was nice. Like I had, I would work out every morning or whatever. And then I would get ready, come home and eat, and then go to work. So it was kind of like, it was a pretty simple routine. And then I left the restaurant industry just because it wasn't good for my mental. I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant, but it kind of just like sucks the life out of you. It's a cycle, and whether you want to get into it or not, you kind of just always end up doing the same stuff. But anyway, so my dad owns his own commercial cleaning company, and with COVID happening, like obviously it was extremely busy. So he needed more hands-on. So I kind of helped manage his company. So my schedule is like very, very flexible. I work, a couple hours at night and a couple hours during the day, kind of just showing face and going to see clients. So I'm very blessed that I do have the flexibility to, go to the gym at, 8 o'clock if I can't make it during the day, or go, at 8 o'clock in the morning if I, can't do it that night. So my schedule is pretty flexible, but it's a good thing and a bad thing, because then sometimes like, it's like, I'm going through the day, I'm like, I'm going to work out tonight because I got to work tonight. And then it's like that tonight comes around and it's like, shoot, like it's kind of late. Maybe I should just, skip it and do it tomorrow. But I just joined a new gym that's 24 hours. So I can't use that excuse anymore. Can't use that excuse anymore. But yeah, that's another thing that I kind of struggle with, is like having a solid routine, and my sleep too. Maddy knows all about that. Like I'll have really good weeks where I'm sleeping, my 8 hours. And then there's days where, or, weeks where I'm sleeping, 4 hours here and then 2 hours there. So prioritize your sleep, people, because it does make all the difference. But yeah, my schedule is very flexible. So it's a good thing. And I said like kind of can be a bad thing at times, but yeah.
Well, there's something else that I wanted to add, and I'm going some of this question off of your response, Brianna. Behind you, is that an elliptical machine?
Yes, it's an elliptical bike thing. Yeah, it's like it's like an elliptical / you can sit on it and like do a bike thingy.
So, and I appreciate that. And also for people listening, it's like a whole gym behind Brianna. No, just kidding.
I forgot you guys won't be able to see. You guys won't be able to see that. But yeah,
there's like a multi-use cardio machine over her left shoulder.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say, Brianna, is you took the inputs of your job, of your career, and you made adjustments to make your consistency in your fitness journey a guaranteed no matter what you were doing. So like you said, you joined a 24/7 gym. And so you're like, yeah, that excuse of the gym isn't open is out the window. You have a cardio machine that, is available for purchase on Amazon, Academy, whatever. And you have that in your place to help you out. And so my point is just pointing out like the tools and the strategies that you implemented to problem solve. And that's something that Maddy had hit on earlier with one of her answers, was that you were always really nimble of like, oh, I have this issue or challenge, like how do I work around it? And so really cool that you have such a flexible schedule and you get to work with family and help people out. And then in that you were like, all right, cool. So because I have these time constraints that may change, if I have a gym that's 24/7, that problem goes out the window. If I have a cardio machine in my house, then that cuts down time at the gym. And sometimes I may not have to go to the gym. It's the same thing, Maddy, that you and Spencer do, and that we're now trying to mimic with having a gym in your garage. It's like the excuses of, oh, the gym's too far, or whatever, kind of go out the window. And you can always make those adjustments. But I thought that was so cool as far as that problem solving aspect of your career, because that's something that we work with clients a lot on, is I have a busy schedule, Sean, I have a busy schedule, Maddy, like how do I work around that? So I appreciate it. Getting sort of to the end of the episode, and I know you have some notes that I want to make sure we touch on as well, because you were nice.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. I wanted to just quickly touch on when I was another thing that is I'm so like grateful for you guys is that you like I put a lot of trust and faith in Maddy when like she knows what she's doing. I'm just whatever so I trust her a lot. And but like you guys, the fact that she was able to like tailor to my needs when I had my surgery, like to change it to be like body weight only, or pick up a gallon jug and use that, stuff like that. Like the fact that she was able to like tailor to my needs like that, because I had initially was like, oh, I'll see you in 6 months, like I'll hit you up later, because I didn't think I was gonna be able to do anything. And even just being able to check in with her, and she was like, how are you feeling? Like, are you doing okay? Like, you just had major surgery and stuff like that. So the check-ins were a little bit different during that time, but I was so grateful and appreciative that she was able to like work with me and be patient with me and stuff, which I thought was absolutely incredible. Because like you said, some coaches will be like, you're not in the gym 5 days a week, what the hell are you doing? Like, what, you're wasting my time. And it wasn't like that. It's not like that with her. And I know it'll never be like that with any of the coaches that you guys have, because you do really care about our well-being. And another thing that is the biggest thing for me is that you guys have, it's sustainable. Like, it's 100% sustainable. Even if, the day that I decide to not have to have Maddy anymore, which will be never, sorry, Maddy, you're stuck with me. I know that, I will be okay. Like I'm set up for success. And that's one thing that I am forever indebted to you guys and forever grateful for. That it's just been, it's incredible. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that. I know Maddy does as
Yeah.
well. You also answered my question of like, what would you tell somebody who's interested in joining DLD? Like,
do it.
I'm curious, what was your like, why'd you choose us? Why'd you choose DLD?
I had been following Dayla for a really, really, really long time. And I just like everything that she shared. Like, she's always like, she does her research, and not that other coaches don't, but she's very thorough. And I could just tell that she was genuine about wanting to better people and her clients and even her coaches too. Like, she didn't just take any Joe Schmo. Like, she made sure she had the best of the best, and that goes a long way. And there's other tons of amazing coaches out there too, but like the company, like you guys is, your values and everything that you guys instill in us, and the weekly recipes and everything that you guys offer, it's just, it's incredible. And it's affordable, and you guys are willing to work with us. And, it's 100% worth the investment. 100%. I will back you guys forever. Forever.
I truly appreciate that. We truly appreciate that. I know Maddy appreciates that as well. Dayla too, because we were joking about all of us kind of being a little nervous diving into a podcast, and I'm going to play the end of this episode for Dayla, because there are times when she's like, babe, are we doing okay? Like, am I doing a good job? Like, is the company doing what it's supposed to do? So I appreciate that. Maddy, I wanted to sort of give you the floor as well. Anything else that you want to add to this podcast? Anything else you wanted to add to Brianna's journey?
I think I can't say it enough how proud I am to have a client like Bri. Like, you are my star. Like, you're like I just truly enjoy checking in with you. I mean, I enjoy checking in with all of my clients, but just knowing you for almost 2 years now, I know what to expect when you're checking in. I know the kind of energy you bring. And if you are a client, I think that anybody can learn from Bri's journey. Just, that willingness to be okay with failing, because you can always get back up. And just honestly, like, reach out to her too. Like, if anybody's listening to this and you want more of that inspo, I know hands down, she would be honored. She would be absolutely honored to help, like, answer your questions or give you a word of advice or be your workout buddy, honestly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that, what's your Instagram handle? Like, how can people get a hold of you?
It's Bri Diaz 24.
Yeah, one of my favorite numbers.
24.
Yeah, I had to message
he's like, why 24?
Yeah, where'd you get 24 from? But yeah, I'll host that in the show notes. I'm also going to host Brianna's amazing transformation. For real, it's jaw dropping. Like, I'm sure you might know Brianna, but we have a coaches chat with all of the DLDNation coaches, and Maddy threw your transformation in there one day, and it was just like everybody was just dropping around off the floor and just being like, "Oh my God, this woman!" So you're inspiring a ton of people. What's next for you? Do you want to are we going into a bulk? Are we staying at maintenance?
I think we're still at a solid cut right now. I'm not sure. It was kind of started off slowly because I wasn't as disciplined as I should as far as my macros and stuff, but I'm kind of getting back to it now. So I don't know. I think we'll sit here, but I would like to eventually get into a bulk to grow some size, because I know my strength is there, but, and like I said, I'm not scared of food anymore. Food is my friend. That's another really important thing I learned from you guys. So that's it. I'm not sure. Well, I guess we'll have to see what's in store for Brianna next.
This might be a fun question to finish up with. What are some of your like favorite lifts, and how much weight are you pushing?
Okay. One of my favorite lifts, actually, I'm starting to really love front squats right now. I used to hate them. I used to always sub them out for back squats. So now my front squat max, I think, is 145, I think, for like maybe 2 or 3 reps. Then my form goes out the window. So yeah, definitely front squats. And my new gym has like a V squat. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's like a V squat machine where it's like the pads are on your shoulders and like the platform's like at an angle. And that just like, it makes your form A1, and you just 100% feel it in all the right places. So obviously I like squats, but bench is my worst enemy, my nemesis, if anything. But I love chest, but it's definitely my weakest lift. So I'm still striving for that plate, but I'll get it soon.
Nice. Front squats are hard. Like I'm not a fan. And I know when it gets up for me, like even at like 135, it's like, oh man, this is a lot sitting on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's really cool. You're already above that. Well, I'm excited to check in with you in like the next 3 or 4 months. And
yeah, for sure.
Like, oh my God, I'm lifting 2 plates on bench, Sean. Like I'm now at like 315 in my front squat.
Yeah, we'll be there. Give me 6 months. I got it.
Awesome. There we go. Yes. That's the energy we're here for. Well, cool. So we're going to still be around after I hit stop recording, but Brianna, just wanted to thank you so much, not only for you being on this podcast, but believing in us so much in DLDNation, and believing in Maddy so much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Maddy, I appreciate you. So Maddy and Spencer are thinking about, I wish you guys lived closer. That's just,
I know. We are highly debating, and I appreciate both of you so much. Both of you bring so much like positive, awesome energy into my life. But yes, Spencer and I, we're continuing to look to see if Austin is our next home, and if that's where we want to go. With all the housing stuff going on in Austin, we're like, is it worth it? But like just tapering off into a different direction real quick, just surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. Like every time we go to Austin, we're like, oh, like as far as friends are concerned, like this is home. This is where all of our like-minded friends live. And every time we get to see them, it's like, it lights us up. So yeah, that's on our radar for sure.
Awesome. Brianna, can I ask, where do you reside?
Sarasota, Florida.
Okay, cool. So you and Maddy are over. Y'all are pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you guys again. And we'll be here in a sec. But past that, I appreciate y'all listening. This has been another episode of Shots to the Dome.